All right, if you're an indicator fisherman, I have the inside info on what style indicator may change the way you fish with indicators.
That's a big brown.
Okay, we are fishing a lake in springtime, chironomids, which for me, when it's just chironomids and the fish aren't super active, an indicator is almost a must. So the Drop Back Bung indicator, which we're using here, is new from Fulling Mill. Now this is a bobber, right? It's a different style of bobber. I'm going to show you how it works, but basically the premise of this is that the bobber or the indicator sits at a 90-degree angle to your leader or your tippet, and it's used to, they use bobber stops to keep it in place. So I usually put this up further, obviously, on my leader. And the nice thing about this is that it's intended so that as your fly descends, you still will be able to see if a fish has hit it by the way it floats on the water. Once it's cocked, is what I say, it will stand upright. Those flies down below, which have to be a specific weight range or bead size, will weight that and balance it perfectly. So the key here is that when you get a fish that eats the fly, a couple of things could happen. If he eats it going down, your indicator just goes down, bobber down, just like you're used to. However, if it eats it on the way up, which is very common in some cases, instead of just relaxing the tension, this will actually tip over because you have the tension from the flies being released. So what that will do is it will give you more sensitivity with the strikes. So you'll be able to see and feel those strikes a lot more accurately than you could with a standard indicator that just is attached to the line without this ability to pivot and float. So you would fish this just really like any other indicator. You have to set it up first. And once it's set up, you tie on flies. I've got two chironomid patterns, and I'm about 4 or 5 feet down. The fish are feeding 5 to 6 feet down in that range. And so I will cast that out. As the flies are descending, this will sit horizontally on the water. When the flies are at depth, it will go vertical and float. When a fish eats it coming up, it will go back down to horizontal, or if they take it and go down, it will disappear or move. So you've really kind of got double the sensitivity there. So again, just like any indicator rig, you have to be a little, open up your loop a little to cast an indicator rig with flies in a team of flies like this, but we'll jump to it. All right, so I've cast out. The indicator still horizontal, means flies are not down to depth. But I need to watch that because if I see the indicator move or pop up, then I know I might have a fish. So now we're at vertical, and now I'm just watching for that indicator to either float or sink. Nice thing about this one, similar to another style indicator, you can give it a mooch, let it reset. A lot of times with these little chironomids, you need to impart a little bit of movement. I'm not pulling the flies, but at least get them moving, stop to rest, and then your indicator outfit will reset. And it's pretty quick. And the hook set on this is going to be rod tip up. Especially with this, there's going to be a lot of drag on the water, so you really want to get that indicator out of the water once you detect a strike. Okay, so that one was a bobber down. That fish actually took pretty close to the surface, but the indicator just went straight down. He does not look super happy. It's a little tiger. And little indicator fish. So usually as I re-rig this, I will check the indicator just to make sure that the bobber stops are still in place. Check the fly depth. Oh. He was there. So you see how it's down? Now it's starting to kick up. Oop.
Okay.
Yep.
That's crazy.
The sensitivity on this is nuts. So flies are getting to depth. And see where it's at an angle there. If a fish were to take it coming up, it would relax it back to horizontal. And now we're locked and loaded. Just gotta wait for a fish to swim by and eat it. Boom. Oh, he gone. That was another bobber down situation. That one was surface because I could see the angle it went out was kind of low, and fish on. We'll just say that the chironomids are numerous. As numerous as the salmon of Capistrano. Boom. So one thing I would say about this indicator as well is I feel, and I've fished with it, this is a little over a year now, and I'm not, if I don't have to, I don't like to fish with an indicator, but I will say that this Drop Back Bung is just next level sensitive. I'm detecting more strikes than my old style slip indicator. And in cases where these fish are just hanging at kind of the standard depth, being able to put that fly or those flies within a couple feet of that depth every time. Spring, it's a key technique in my opinion. When the chironomids are moving and nothing much else, calibatus a little today, but these fish are just cruising at these depths. If you fish it too low, no bueno. You think you got that? Nice. That one was kind of a down, well, more sideways. So he could have taken it coming up. But again, that's type of movement you might not get with every kind of indicator. Not net worthy. Skinny guy. And he ate the bottom one, the point fly.
All right, let's take a time out from fishing. I really want to show you how to set this Drop Back Bung up. Now, as you'll see in the video when you're casting it, and I go through all that stuff, but the one little thing that you need to do correctly in order to get this to all work out properly is to set it up right. There has to be a certain amount of spacing in between your bobber stoppers and your indicator, so I'm going to show you that. Okay, probably the most important thing when you go to set this up is that you want to have not tied on your flies, and I would also advise you to do this before you complete any dropper knots or leaders. You can get them on there with over dropper knots, triple surgeons or double surgeons, but I do not recommend it if you want to reuse the bobber stops. Anyway, so this consists of the indicator. Now, bear in mind that the indicator style is going through a little bit of repaint design work, so this may not be exactly what you see in yours. And then they will come with a number of bobber stoppers with the idea that these will be used and thrown away because you can't reuse them more than, say, a couple times before they get too loose. Anyway, so what we're going to do is we're going to take the end of our tippet here, or the leader, at least depending on where we're going to, what point in our rig we're going to put this on. So you simply just take that, and if you've ever used bobber stops before, it's pretty straightforward. You just loop your leader or tippet up through the loop on the end of the bobber stopper arm mechanism thinger. And now we just grab the bobber stop and we pull it till it's all the way through. Now you'll see we have little bobber stop on there. Now we take the drop back bung indicator, thread it onto there. Okay, so that's the other half of it. And now we'll put our final bobber stop on. That. Same deal, pull that through. Now this is where we just need to make sure this is situated just right. So you'll notice that I can cinch this right up pretty close. It doesn't have any lateral movement. Now you see how it's pretty rigid there. We don't want that. So we want enough room for this to slide a little bit. So what I'll do is I'll just pull these apart. I like to get it about the width of that little loop that's on the bobber itself. So I'm going to work this one back just a tiny bit. A little too far. All right, so there we go. This is about the right distance. You want to have a little bit of movement back and forth, but not a ton. And then the way this works again is as the flies sink, it pulls this down and this thing will cock such that it's going to be vertical with the amount of flies that you got on there, the weight. And then when a fish takes it coming up, it's going to go lay on its side. If they take it going away or down, it's going to go yoink, yoink, like you would normally see. So that's the setup. All right, so now you know how to rig this thing. Let's get back to catching more fish with it and indeed see how sensitive it is, how it can improve your catch rate.
And if you're wondering, my seat did not properly get inflated by me. I'll also blame Lance. So it's needing air, and I'm catching fish, so we're gonna ride it out. This is the new Skadden Slash, if you're interested. Super lightweight, backpackable float tube, pontoon, whatever you want to call it. And we're back at it. That was an SDR, short distance release.
Oh, freaking way, dude. No way.
I know. I honestly didn't set the hook the first time, thinking, nah, it's not a fish. Then it went again. I'm like, yeah, that was a fish.
I thought it was just a wave.
Yeah, but it was just
If you know how to
a little bit, yeah, just a little bit down the other way. All right, Poindexter.
like really is like Euro nymphing on stillwater. Like,
yeah, it's
little...
so sensitive. Yep, it's insane. I'm gonna just cast over there. That one was a bobber down. Well, this drop back bung, which we have on our website, flyfishfood.com, is worth a try if you like to indicator fish, if you're not opposed to bobber fishing. Sometimes it's an effective method, so if you are going to do it as good as possible. But suffice it to say, it is my preferred indicator method currently for stillwater. And this little tiger, he thinks so too. Yes, I do.